You're listening to the Beyond Measurements and Image podcast, where we build healthier lifestyles, elevate your well-being, and transform lives. Welcome to BMI.
I'm your host, Dr. Drew Crawford. I'm a board-certified gastroenterologist and obesity medicine specialist. Thank you for joining me today on the Beyond Measurements and Image podcast. Health journeys don't always start with a plan. They often start with a wake-up call. Sometimes it's one big moment, while other times it's a slow, quiet drift away from the person we used to be. In today's episode, my guest shares how moving from chair to chair led him down a physically unhealthy and mentally challenging path. From a 9 to 5 desk chair to happy hour and restaurant seats to 2 a.m. Barstools, he was slowly spiraling further away from the version of himself he wanted to be. What snapped him out of it? 2 wheels, a bike saddle, and a second chance. Cycling, which began as a simple way to move again, quickly became a burning passion, personal purpose, and a way to come back home to himself. If you've ever looked in the mirror wondering how you got so off track and how to find your way back, this episode's for you. Let's get into it. Today we're here with Kenny Hill. Kenny is a former college football player who, through a series of choices, went from a playing weight of 280 pounds and found himself up to 454 pounds. Through a little bit of self-discovery and lifestyle changes, he's worked his way back down to 315. Has a fantastic story to share with us about his journey both up and back down, and a lot of the human insight that's associated with this, which is really the key. You know, we've talked about the different procedures and the surgeries and the pharmaceutical options, but really just the insight that Kenny has is much more valuable than any of this. So, Kenny, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you having me.
So you started as a college football player, 280 pounds. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, graduated from Jinx High School, and was fortunate to be part of the juggernaut that had become the Jinx Trojans with the state championships. So I was part of the 93 team. Actually finished as the offensive MVP. Usually they don't give those to the grunts and the line. They go to the glory players. So I was very honored. So, went there and have big dreams and admirations of playing in college and eventually going to play professionally. You know, that's every kid's dream. But somewhere along the way, the road bumps and we get thrown off course. You know, that led to a lot of, I would say, immature decision-making, led to drinking and the road of kind of despair. It led me off the track that was going to put me on to continue my education playing football, and that just didn't happen. And eventually kind of just got off track and ended up back in Tulsa and got in with the drinking crowds and the people getting off at 4:00 in the afternoon. And instead of going to work out, they're hitting the happy hours, and the happy hour turns into 2:00 in the morning. And then you're in that vicious cycle of waking up hungover and doing it all over again. And your body's telling you, let's get back to happy hour and everything will be all right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of when the weight gain starts and you start losing your focus on what you were trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish, and other things take over in life. And before you know it, 2 years turns into 5 and 5 turns into 10. And then you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize yourself anymore because you put on weight. You don't look the same way you did before. Some people age quickly. Some people lose hair, like I've gone bald. So it's just like, you get to a certain point and you're like, wow, what happened?
You know, that's a great point. You talk about how time just goes by. I always say people who get up to 454 pounds, everybody that's overweight at one point was 10 pounds overweight.
Right.
And then 20 and 30. And I'm interested to hear when you get to 454 what it was, but we'll circle back to that. So when you played for Jinx, you played lineman as well.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Was Trimble the coach at the time?
He was a coach there. He was our offensive coordinator. It was under Ron Lancaster.
Okay, yeah. And then college ball, and then like I said, life got sidetracked. So when you were sort of making the decisions that you were making, and it sounded like you were drinking a fair amount, was a lot of the calories that were leading to the weight from drinking, or was it eating, or just a combination?
It was all liquid calories, and then, as much as we could put in our bodies at Waffle House at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
They had that all you can eat bill,
right.
And it's when you're young and in your early 20s, you can spin that stuff off with the shield. It doesn't bother you, but you hit 23, 24, 25, and that metabolism slows down, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, these these jeans don't fit anymore. There's something wrong with them.
Right. So you weren't just a college athlete. I mean, you had some incredible strength. So tell me again about your weights, your numbers. Let's hear like your bench press and your squats.
Oh, yeah. Going into college, I was part of, we come in and everybody wants to do these one lift maxes and whatnot. I had eventually worked up and I had some good competition along the way. I played football with the guy that ended up playing at Notre Dame, and he was a Division I athlete. He played for the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, and we always had a neck and neck competition on who was going to be the stronger person. So he was a driving force of me pursuing the strength and wanting to be, the guy that could push up all the weight. But I eventually got up to 5.25 on my bench press and 865 pounds on squat.
That's amazing. So you said it was like less than, 0.1% of...
Yeah, you can. I heard something on the Joe Rogan podcast not too long ago, and they were talking about the percentage of people that could, I think at that point, they were just talking about 315 pounds, and then the percentage was super low in the population. So just to hear that you're just a small portion of the population can lift over a certain amount of weight, you're just kind of like, wow, I didn't even know that back then. You just kind of like, the coach was like, you can do more. Not enough.
Did you ever have any significant injuries associated with that kind of weight or football?
I ended up doing some damage to my lower back over the years, and I've had now 7 knee surgeries. The last knee surgery I had was 2023. I had a right complete knee surgery replacement. The other ones all happened in high school and college, and that kind of helped take me off track. We could get going for a little bit, re-injure my knee, have to rehab, get back, re-injure it. And so at that point, it's kind of where I got off track.
So you go to college, you finish your college career, maybe didn't finish college at that point, but finish your college career.
Right.
And then you're back kind of in the grind and drinking fairly heavily.
Yeah. So I went to Texas Tech. Actually, I tried to go to just about every school in Oklahoma and see like I would end up failing myself out or just kind of dropping all courses together. And finally got my act together, and parents were gracious enough to be able to send me to Texas Tech. And I went down there and I finished in 3.5 years.
Wow.
So I was, it was kind of like my mom would always say, it's time to shit or get off the pot.
Right.
So,
that's exactly right.
So it was like, this is a last ditch effort at finishing college or seeking that degree. So I took advantage of that. And from there, you move on to a desk job, and then it's a grind from 8 to 5 or, 7 to 6, whatever they're forcing you to work. And you just kind of get out of the pattern. Instead of wanting to work out, people are talking about, hey, let's go get chips and margaritas after work. We'll all meet up. And then, that turns into 3-4 nights a week. And then you hit the weekend, and then you really shift gears, and then you're hating Sunday night because of what you did to yourself from Wednesday to Sunday. And then you go through that vicious cycle where it all starts over again. And then the weight starts to accumulate here and here. And then you lose interest in the things that you used to like to do, and you don't become as active. And it's easier to sit at a Barstool shooting the crap with the other local yokels that are in there that are doing nothing else besides, and grinding their butt print into that stool seat.
Right. I think I read a statistic that only about 3% of high school athletes go on and participate in the same sport, right? Because, you can't really play football.
Right. You've only got a certain amount of years.
Limited.
Yeah.
Right. And then basketball, you might get a church league or, baseball. But really, once you leave high school and definitely college, I mean, you're really locked in at that point to running, biking, maybe some golf, tennis,
right.
So did you participate in anything like that?
I played golf. I was fairly decent at it. It's something that is a perishable skill for sure. If you're not out there every day practicing, you're definitely not going to be as good as if you were when you were out there every day. I was fortunate to take a golf course in college, broke 80 a couple times.
Fantastic.
So that was pretty cool. But, after that, I just kind of lost interest in it, and it didn't really get me going to be like, hey, I want to go spend 4 hours on a golf course.
Right. In August in Oklahoma.
And then I'm like, wait a second, you can drink while you're playing golf. And then I don't even know if we played golf at that point. It was just kind of like drive around and for 18 holes and crush 18 beers.
Right. So at any point when that was going on, did you develop any sort of alcohol abuse disorder with it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't say I was a full-blown alcoholic, but dependency was something that I had a problem with. In college, Wednesday night, penny beer. Thursday night, it was $10 all you can drink, 2 pitchers at a time, double fisted. in Stillwater. We drive down from Edmond to Stillwater
Sure.
and go to Tumbleweeds, and I still think they probably do that today. But yeah, it's easy to get into that groove where you just move that direction.
Right. When you look back, do you start to see like any sort of instability or anything like in your psychological profile or coming up, when you end up sort of running off the rails like that a little bit, sometimes you can see it, or was it more just
Yeah, I mean, you could see. I mean, it was like anything else we did in my life. It was like if I was going to work out, I was going to do it 110%. If I was going to concentrate on studying, it was 110%. Same thing with drinking. If I was going to do it, we were
You're all
drinking.
in?
We were drinking.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand. I think that's something a lot of people trade off, especially if they're come from an athletic background. They're trading the intensity there with whatever they're picking up.
So the separation from your athleticism, right, from your sport, you're sort of done with college at this point, you're done with football.
Mm-hmm.
When you separated from that, when that became less of your identity, did you struggle with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%, because it's what you spent your whole life trying to be from a little kid, whether, you're playing T-ball and you have aspirations of being in the big leagues. And I think everybody goes through that, but so much of my identity was tied up of being a football player, being a scholarship player. And I tried to go back to school and play after I hurt my knees again at Southeastern in Durant, and things didn't work out there. I walked on. They gave me a scholarship during two-a-days, and I was gracious enough to do that. And I messed that up too because I didn't go to class.
Yeah.
Decided that, drinking was more important. I still had an itch when I came back to Tulsa. They kicked off a football league here, indoor.
Yeah, I remember that.
Tulsa Talons. I want to say it was the second year that they had the team. They had an open tryout. I had a lot of buddies that I played with, and they all came up, went to the tryout, and I'd been working out and staying in a little bit of shape. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to this open tryout. I ended up getting signed to a contract.
Is that right?
Yeah. They called me back after the tryout had initially closed. They had a player get hurt, and they brought me in, signed me for a contract, and then I tore my knee up again against, we were scrimmaging in Wichita. I went to the doctor, and he was like, how much you getting paid for this? It was like $250 a game. And he's like, yeah, it's time to not play football anymore.
You're right.
Your knees are garbage. You're going to have knee replacements by the time you're 40 something. And he was right.
So you went from that. Now, how old were you at this point?
I want to say I was 23, 24 years old.
23 or 24. And about what did you weigh at that time? You were playing at 280.
Oh, yeah. I was probably a slim trim 310.
310. Okay. So not terribly off of your game weight.
Right.
And how tall? You're a tall guy.
6'3".
6'3". Okay. So you're there.
Like I had a football coach, old school. He said, you got $1 million body and a nickel mind.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks.
Right. Like, that's a compliment, I guess.
Right.
Sort of.
So you blew out your knee. Did you have to have surgery then?
Yes. I had another scope.
Cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Did that hobble you up for a while, or were you able to walk pretty soon with that?
Yeah, I was able to get back up to where I was able to move around. But after that, it was kind of like, I'm not going to tear my knee up anymore with football.
So football's done.
And then it was full-time Miller time.
Full-time Miller time. And what were you doing for a living at the time?
I was working here in Tulsa at a produce warehouse for a produce company.
Not a desk job?
Yeah, it was a desk job.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of happy hours, Mexican food, and chips, salsa, and late nights, and just not good for the body.
And it's sedentary. I don't know if you listened to the episode where we talk about the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Dr. Levine is a physician out of Mayo Clinic, and he's written about it, but he writes it in the context of the chair and how much damage the chair has done to society.
100%, I agree.
And you take these desk jobs that just sit, so you lay in bed all day, then you get up, you drive.
You don't even stretch when you just get up. Yeah.
He even talks about the casters. They put casters on desk chairs so that you didn't even have to get up to go to the file cabinet. You could just wheel over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a great book. He's an amazing author. So super active as a young guy, played college sports.
To Barstool.
Desk by day, Barstool by night.
Right.
And then fast forward, how does that evolve? You're working a desk job and you're drinking.
Right.
How many years does that go on for?
So I finally graduated from Texas Tech in 2005. And from 2005 to 2010, probably, I put on a little bit of weight, but I was able to get into cycling. I started doing spin classes at St. John's here in Tulsa. And then eventually I got to a point where I dropped enough weight, and I was like, I kind of want to take this exercise outside. Ran into a friend that introduced me to another person that became a very good friend of mine that owns Spokehouse Bicycles here in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Zach Paff. He got me into my first road bike and would take me out on group rides and help me up the climbs. And I felt a very strong bond between myself and the other riders, even though I wasn't your typical cyclist body style. I was your typical offensive lineman looking type of person. But I felt like it was a locker room kind of feeling with the people afterwards. You're talking about the ride and this and that. So there was a lot of that sports feeling that I got being part of a team. I got that through cycling, and I dove pretty deep into that for the next couple years. Did my first Tulsa Tough in 2013 and kept cycling into 14 a little bit. Some stuff happened. I got a job that just didn't allow me to do the cycling like I wanted to. And I kind of went headfirst into the job. And from there, that's where I really started to put on the weight and got into that upper echelon into the 400 pound and 454 eventually.
And you weren't doing any biking at that time?
Weren't doing anything.
Just working still at the bars in the evening, or?
Oh yeah, still at the bars. And the thing too is you go through, a good portion of your life and the coaches are like, we need you to put on weight, eat. So you gain this mentality of continuing to eat the way you ate when you were really active. Now you're not active anymore and you're still eating the way you were when you were trying to put on the weight to put on muscle mass, but the muscle mass switches from that to fat.
So at our last check-in, you were at 310. About 24 years old. So now you're at 454 at how old?
Mid to late 30s.
Okay, so a decade rolls by.
Yeah.
Kind of just get in the grind, keep eating. So at any point between 310 and 454, did you look at yourself and say, gosh, I got to do something different? Or was it just part of the day and you just kind of went on?
No, all the time. I would look at myself in the mirror and not recognize myself. Because in my mind, I thought I should still look like I did when I was playing ball. But here was this big person that you just don't really know where to start. You're like, God, this is a huge mountain. I don't even know how to take the first step up it to get this off.
Yeah. So on the way up, multiple times it was just kind of at a loss of what to do.
Oh, I would start 1,000 different bad diets from what was the keto or Dr.
Atkins.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Cabbage soup.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I would try those for about a week, and then it was back to the
routine.
Back to the old routine.
Yeah. How hard was life at 454 pounds?
It was difficult. It was difficult to go into a restaurant, and if they had booths, you had to say, does this booth move back and forth? Because if it's affixed to the table, I'm not going to fit in there.
Yeah.
I always have to ask for a table or something with chairs that didn't have the armrests on them because it was difficult to fit in a lot of, and it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Or you're taking a flight and having to ask for the extender on your belt buckle. It's super embarrassing. So you get to that size, and I tended to shuffle towards the back, get out of the way because people's look. I'm a huge person to begin with at 6'3", at 454 pounds. Everybody's looking like, holy crap, look at this guy.
Yeah. And you were completely ambulatory. You were able to get around just fine.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of looks and a lot of comments or people under their breath saying things?
Oh, yeah, you could tell for sure. And a lot of people will be like, look at this lazy guy, or, that's the kind of look, the feeling, the judgment that you got from a lot of people. And even when I was playing ball, I got a lot of looks because I was a bigger person, and it was just like, oh, this is a yoked out looking dude. And I went from that to the complete opposite of just a big space taker.
You were talking about like putting your socks on. Can you tell that story again?
Yeah, so it got to a point where you can't even bend over to put your socks on, so you have to get these, I guess they're for people with arthritis or geriatrics that can't bend over or have a hard time putting there, so you put your sock over this plastic sleeve, and then it's got two handles on each side, and you pull it up over your foot, and that's how I was getting my socks on and off. And it was at that point, then I was like, I've got to do something. I grew up watching John Candy. It was one of my all-time favorites growing up, and in 43, he drops dead.
Yeah.
I'm getting into like 38, 39, 40, And I'm like, I don't want to end up like these guys that are dead at 43. And this is not old. When you're in your teens and early 20s, you think of someone in their 40s or 50s as being someone old. And now
Right.
I'm 48 years old. Now I'll be 49. And you're like, I'm young.
Yeah.
Like, this is not,
Right.
this is nowhere close. Like, I don't want to die.
Yeah. So you hit on this multiple times. You tried the different diets, you kind of recognized that there was an issue that you wanted to address. Something's taken hold, right? I mean, you went from 454, you're 315, right? So something this time locked in. What happened? Like, I always think that if you're 50 pounds overweight, maybe you eat too much.
Right.
If you're 250 pounds overweight, there's probably something else going on, right? There's probably something psychological that's going on. I don't know that for a fact, but it just seems.
And the crazy thing is, I wasn't a huge overeater. I was eating just as much as my other friends that weren't gaining weight. It's just for whatever magic reason, I could drive by a McDonald's and gain 5 pounds.
Right.
So
what was it the day that things turned around for you?
It all happened during COVID, really. Just got on a kick. My buddy and I joined the gym. We're like, we're going to get fit. We're going to lose some weight. We started doing the treadmill, started doing this, and all of a sudden everything shut down. And it was kind of like, what are you going to do now? Well, let's go to Academy and see if we can buy some weights. Well, all the weights
were gone.
Everything was sold. And so it was like, okay, get creative. I've got Barstools in my house. I picked those up and would do curls with those and fill water jugs up and use those for curls. And I would go for a walk every day. And that's how it all started, was just going for a walk through the neighborhood.
Were you still biking at this time?
No. The bike had dust on it and was so out of shape. I eventually got back to that point, but there was a good portion of probably 6 months was just straight walking. Eventually started hiking out at Turkey Mountain, but basically Turkey Mountain saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fantastic venue we got up there.
It is. It was beautiful. It was before they had refurbished everything, so it was still that old Turkey grit, straight up and down, a lot of rocks.
A lot of rocks.
A lot of push, a lot of technical, even hiking.
Yeah.
But I would be out there hiking and I would see the tracks in the dirt of the tires. And I was like, God, I want to get back on the bike.
Yeah. So walking, makeshift, working out at the house.
And then my buddy, he wanted to lose weight and he found a person that was doing meal prep plans. And so he got on that and I eventually got on that. And as soon as I got on that, I mean, I dropped 50 pounds.
Just altering your diet.
Just altering the diet. Yeah. Cutting sugar out.
Is that the first thing you did, was cut sugar out?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is amazing how much devastation happens because of sugar.
That, and I quit drinking too.
Yeah.
I rarely have a drink anymore. I can count it on my hands if I do it throughout the year. I think it was like 3 last year. But I found out once I started eating right, eliminated those unwanted sugars, the weight, just because I had so much weight on me, a lot fell off fast. So then it was like 50 came off, then 75 came off, then 100 came off, then 125, then 150. They're 170, then you're creeping into the 180s and you're like, I just lost a full grown man.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And I did it without gastro bypass or any kind of invasive surgery or anything like that.
Do you think your grit that you developed in high school and college athletics, that ability to consistently show up and to deal with the task at hand, not necessarily just for that day, but just long term, how much do you think that mindset helped in weight loss?
Without that mindset, I don't even know if I'd be here today if I was still at that weight. I'm sure there was a heart attack looming there, but having that mindset is what kept me going and had me showing up whether I wanted to or not.
Yeah. So you're 454 and let's just say you lose 20 pounds. Can you see that you lost 20 pounds when you're 454 pounds? Can you, like, if you're buck ass naked in front of a mirror?
Not really. Other people would see it.
Yeah.
Like, your face looks a little thinner.
Okay.
Oh, this or that. And you're like, really? It does?
Could you feel it? Did you feel better?
Probably around the 50 pound mark, you could really, you're moving around a little bit easier. You can get up in one motion instead of that rocking and rolling motion. You got to get up.
Yeah.
So there's little nuances that you're noticing that you're like, oh, this is easier. I can actually bend over and put my socks on or my shoes or tie my, and not have to take 3 breaths on the way down.
Yeah. How much time in the day do you save being lighter? I had never thought about that. Like, you take for granted tying your shoes.
I mean, if I was to go put 185 pounds in a backpack right now and try and walk around or go up the flight of stairs, I mean, it would slow me down so much.
Yeah.
It would hurt. Things on my body would hurt again. Like, oh gosh, you're putting all this pressure and weight back on these joints that you took off.
Yeah. There's so much stigma associated with obesity and just even overweight, right? There's different classes, overweight, obesity, and you were commenting how much you could bench and how much you can squat and how strong you are. And you said that people would look at you and never think, no, I'm a $170. For me to walk 10 miles is completely different than a guy that's 450 pounds, right? I mean, that guy is working so much harder.
Everything's working harder.
Everything. So you're 454. You have this epiphany that you don't want to live that way anymore.
Right.
You start to lose weight, altering your diet. When did you find the bike?
It was the end of 2020. Took the bike in and got a full tune-up on it and started putting in some decent base miles. Started out with, I think I maybe did 5 miles the first time out.
Was it hard?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, what are we doing, body?
Yeah.
The second time I pushed it was like 7 miles, then 10 miles, and 15 miles, and then started doing a lot of riding and ended up getting hit crossing the Creek Turnpike on Memorial.
You got hit by a car?
I got hit by a car at a traffic light.
Wow.
So that kind of put a huge halt on my exercise and tore a rotator cuff and did some damage to my shoulder. Had to do some rehab there, but yeah, I was able to get a different bike and continued on after I got better. And in 2021, I did my second Tulsa Tough. So I was able to get into that.
Now, when you did Tulsa, did you do the criteriums? Did you do the fondos?
I just did the fondos.
Not just. You did the fondos.
I did the fondos. Yeah.
So did you do the 30, the 60, the 100? What?
I did the 30.
30, that's perfect. Okay, so you did that the first year?
The second time to do it, yeah.
Second time to do it, yeah. Was it easier? Were you lighter the second year than you were the first year?
Oh, yeah. I was back down to plain weight, about 280.
280.
At that point.
Okay.
So we're knocked out.
Yeah. Then where'd you go from there?
So from there, I kept on riding, and then that's when my knees finally said, "Hey, I'm out." I got into some really bad knee issues. I ended up having a Baker's cyst rupture in the back of my knee, and I had to have a basically an emergency surgery. It took 1,000 cc mass blood clot basically out of the back of my leg.
Wow, that's big.
It was
a
big.
leader.
Yeah. Was gracious that I was able to have a buddy that's a surgeon that was able to operate on me. And then after that, they looked at my knees and they're like, your knees are garbage. It's time to probably do something. I had lost pretty much all cushion from the cartilage was gone, just bone on bone. And it was just painful to walk around. And so I just decided to have my knee cut on and have that done. That was in late July of 21. And by late October, right before Halloween, I was back on the bicycle.
Now, did they replace the knee or?
Full replacement.
Full replacement. Mm-hmm. One side?
One side, yeah.
Okay. So back on the bike?
Back on the bike. I wanted to get on it under 3 months, and I did it like 2 weeks under would have been a 3-month time period. So
what was it about getting on the bike or exercise? What itch did that scratch?
I didn't want to go back to where I'd been. I wanted to keep that momentum going, and I still had that competitive urge and fire inside me to keep going. It's something that I wanted to continue on and still want to continue doing.
Was it a fear of putting weight back on, or was it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We talked earlier about just probably the self-medication exercise gives some people. Do you think that filled that role for you at all, or?
Yeah, because I would rather be on the bike than spend the evening drinking and be hungover the next day. I like to wake up early and go knock stuff out, and then you've got the rest of the day to do whatever you want. And that allows you so much more than just waking up midday and, being groggy till 5 o'clock. And then you're like, well, I guess it's time to go out again. It's not fulfilling to me. There's so much more to life out there than just having blinders on and doing the same thing. Well, I guess cycling and doing all that stuff is kind of like doing the same thing over and over again. But to me, that's a healthy choice because I'm out seeing things that I've never seen before, going down roads I've never been down before. There's so much beauty in life that to me is way more therapeutic than ever being inside a bar or a strip club or wherever you're going to go, whatever vice is going to take you.
Yeah. Boy, you couldn't say that better. I mean, just being outside, and even if you're just going down an old bumpy road in a dirty neighborhood, that's just where life is.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not in a chair or in front of a TV. Yeah. You're spot on.
Yep.
So you did your second Tulsa Tough. That's about 2021.
2021, yep.
So then from there, you're down to 280 at that point.
280, yeah. And then I had the knee stuff going on.
When you had the knee, were you able to keep the weight down or did?
I put some weight back on, roughly around 40, 50 pounds.
Okay.
So that's why I'm working to get back off. Last year, I was riding, but wasn't really fast enough to be a part of any group because you get dropped really fast. And even though they say it was a no drop ride, you're riding by yourself.
Yeah.
Better have the route downloaded.
Yeah.
And so I just would find myself doing the same thing, which is a great thing for a lot of people. But for me, I felt like being on the road, riding with a group of people, getting better, working on skills was what I needed rather than just doing the 19, 20 mile loop from downtown Tulsa to Jinx and back. That's flat. I mean, it's good exercise, but I wasn't feeling like I was getting everything out of it I should be getting.
Right.
And so fast forward a couple of years, and then I read about this project called Project Dudeman. I knew about the divas for a long time. You know, I was like, oh, it'd be great if there was something for the guys because I know there's a lot of people out like me. I'm not the fastest, I'm not the slowest. You know, I'm kind of right in the middle, just your average cyclist. I have a lot of fire still in my belly to go out and get a lot accomplished. It's hard to do it on your own, especially when you don't have someone like Brad that's going to coach you along, teach you that not everything needs a 12-pound sledgehammer. You can buy them in a 2, a 6, and an 8-pound.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to use the biggest one. I was using the biggest one every time, and you just wear yourself out.
Yeah. So you started in with Project Dudeman. When did you first meet Brad?
Oh, I met Brad the very first Tuesday, and I wasn't even going to go. I read that, and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't know what it was. I was like, I'll go. I don't know if you've ever seen Ferris Bueller, but his buddy Cameron is trying to not go over to Ferris Bueller's house. He was like, he'll keep calling. I'll go.
Yeah.
God dang it, I'll go.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was there. You know, I didn't want to introduce myself, and Brad kind of comes in. He's like, you here for the Dudeman ride?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, let's go.
How many people were there?
There was maybe 5 people that were part of it. In my head, I'm worried about, am I going to show up to another group ride and they're going to be like, it's a no drop. We're going to ride together. So we're kind of just messing around, and Malcolm's there. A couple other people are there. And Brad's like, well, take a warm up lap. You guys go that way. Well, they take off and they're all faster than me. They go right. I go left somewhere along, or they go right or left, whichever. I went the wrong way. I end up going down a walking trail only in like Turkey Mountain. I didn't even know you could do. I get slapped in the face by a couple tree limbs. I'm pissed off, riding back up to the top. And in my mind, I'm just like, I'm pedaling straight to the car. I'm not,
You're done.
I'm done. I knew it was going to be like this. I get up to the top of this climb. They can see my head just kind of creeping up over the horizon. And I hear this, there's Kenny, come on. I was like, God dang it, they saw me.
Eagle eye.
And Brad has yelled at me, come on, you were just getting started. So I reluctantly pedaled over there. Ended up being the best decision of my life.
I mean, that takes something to just show up. Where did you see it on the internet or?
Yeah, I saw it on the internet. I saw it on the Facebook and Instagram that, they're starting this new deal. And so I was like, I'll go check it out. I'll go once.
Yeah.
And if it's like I think it's going to be, I'm not going to do it. It kind of turned into it, and then it got reeled back in. And then it was like, hey, we're going to work together as a group. And it was tough work. Going up that first big climb and breathing out of your ears. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but that's kind of how I was doing it.
But man, just to show up.
That's the biggest thing.
That's huge.
We've been doing this now for what, 2.5 months or something. I think I've only missed a couple rides.
Yeah.
That was due to an injury that I gave myself for sticking the bike seat somewhere in the nether region. I had to take a day off. But it just kept showing up. We would show up and do the turkey ride and then do the Wednesday night ride. And then Brad threw in like, hey, let's do hill repeats on Thursday. And the first 3 weeks, there were no takers. It was just he and I. And then all of a sudden it just blew up. And there was 40 people, 50 people, 25 people, 30 people. And it's just like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a crazy hill
that people are showing up on a Thursday night to do hill repeats on Lookout Mountain. A lot of people don't know what that is. It's a close to a mile climb, but it's got a lot of false peaks on it. You go up, you're like, oh, I think I'm up to the top. You turn, nope, switch back.
Yeah.
So you go up to the top, touch the pole, come back.
How many times you do that?
The first night we did it 3 times, then 3 times again. And then a couple weeks I did it 5 times in a row, and then 3 times and you think you're burned out. And we got back down to the parking lot and you look at your Strava and I was the local legend on that climb. And it was just something that blew my mind away, just to be one of the bigger cyclists in Tulsa. And I'm out here getting a local legend on a climb that I would, in my mind, I would have never done a year ago, 2 years ago, would have never thought about it.
Right.
Maybe once. And then that's
one climb.
Just one climb.
Not one day, but one climb.
Yeah, just one climb and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's all been learning how to control your efforts, being able to manage a higher cadence to be able to get up those climbs. And overall, you're just turning yourself into a better cyclist, a better person. You're internalizing things a little bit slower. You're able to react quicker, which is kind of weird because the way things slow down, your mind speeds up a little bit. I don't know if it kind of reminds me of being in a football play or something, and everything for me always slowed down in slow motion. And so that's kind of how things go for me on the bike. When I really get locked in, everything kind of just slows down and I can see everything happening. It's a really cool experience to see that and feel that. And to see this group grow the way it's growing is exponentially awesome.
Do you think like the feeling you get in the, for lack of a better word, the journey toward health, particularly over these last few months,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, so much of the physical benefit, the physical fitness part comes from the bike, right? I mean, that's kind of indisputable. But would it be fair to say that the real growth and the real fitness, it comes from the sense of community?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I don't think without the community that this group exists.
Or your fitness.
Or our fitness.
Right.
And it's great because you've got so many different people from so many different walks of life coming out and all getting together and all struggling in the beginning. We all struggled together and now we're all getting better as the weeks are going by. And it's so great to see the person who was struggling 2 weeks ago is now setting PRs and is getting better every week. You can see that on the bike. I can see that and feel that on the bike. And that's such a cool feeling because now you're more relaxed. You're having fun. It's not such a grind. You're getting yourself in that shape where you can go out and have a conversation. It used to be I would ride and listen to the people behind me talk and be like, how can these people talk and ride at the same time?
Right.
I'm getting to that portion of life in my journey where I'm talking and socializing with the person next to me and getting to know that person next to me and sharing your life experiences, asking them what they do off the bike. It's not just a look forward and grit and not say anything, which a lot of times that's the way it's been. You're like, golly, these people are jerks. They don't talk.
Yeah. There's something about cyclists, just like anytime you put on a kit, you look like a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you could be the nice, like Jesus, Pope Leo could put on a kit and you just automatically think the guy's an asshole.
100%.
You know?
Yeah. And you put on the sunglasses, you can't see the facial expression.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. And about half of us are.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And it's the worst. All you want, you ride somebody on the trail and you say, hey, or you wave and you don't get the wave back. And the first thing is like, who the fuck was that guy?
Right. Well, you know, it's funny, like you talk about the struggle. I mean, I think there's a bond that comes with a struggle, right? If you struggle together.
Yes.
I was talking to a guy that had a vineyard out in California, and he had one season that I can't remember, you know, maybe there was a fire the year before, you know, a drought. I think it was a drought. There was a drought and everything was tough. And he said that the next year, I said, boy, that had really have a big impact. He said it did have fantastic impact. He said best grapes we ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said the plants had to struggle to get the water and then the grape. And he said, it's just, you know, the old saying, there's no growth in the comfort zone. There's no comfort in the growth zone.
Yeah. It's like taking that pressure, a piece of coal, under pressure makes a diamond.
Makes a diamond. Yeah.
And that's what we can do with ourselves.
Yeah.
If we choose to. A lot of people can pivot and go a different direction.
Right.
So, you know, it's all about ultimately the choices we make.
Like if we've got people that are listening to this that are 454 pounds, or maybe they're 54 pounds overweight, or maybe they're 10 pounds. What advice do you have for them to shift that mindset? To go from, I don't want to put my sock on that way,
right.
and I don't want to die at 43.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's got to be something, because all of them, they have to have these thoughts, right? We all have thought. We all have whatever it is about ourselves that we don't like, right? So what is it that you could say, having been in that position and met with so much success? Because no doubt it's not easy.
It's not easy. I would say the hardest thing to do is just to start. A lot of times you don't know how, you don't know when to start, you don't know why to start, but it's just that first initial day that you're like, okay, I'm going to make a change. It's getting through that first day and then getting the second day and the third day. And then after a week, it starts to become a habit. that habit can go the opposite direction. You could just start adding calories with all the food and all the beverages and everything that you're drinking. That's still a habit and a choice that you're making that is going to put you, whatever you're doing now in 3 weeks, that's what you're going to become if you still have that habit.
Yeah. There's a book by a guy, I think his name is BJ Frog. It's called Tiny Habits. And he talks about forming habits. And one of the examples he gives is when he wanted to start flossing his teeth, he made a deal with himself that he would just floss one tooth.
Yeah.
Just one tooth. If he felt like flossing all of his teeth, that was fantastic. But just floss one tooth. And then if that was good enough, he was done. And then you just sort of build on that. You know, when you start a marathon or when you start a fondo, right, you're going to ride 30 miles. You don't think about the 29th and 30th mile. You're thinking about mile 1.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So on weight loss, do you just think like, I just got to get through today?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because my buddy and I, when I started my weight loss journey and he was going on it too, he would start counting calories. I'm like, you're ruining my cupcake or whatever.
Right.
I mean, don't stop
Right.
with the calorie counting. It's got to start somewhere. So it's like, okay, now you really have to start looking like, what am I really putting in my body with what I'm eating? So that's kind of where it starts. And then you start flipping the labels over and looking at stuff and you're like, holy crap, this is not good.
Yeah.
I love these things, but this is not good.
Right.
And
there's 3.5 servings in this bag.
And I love our convenience stores that we have here in Tulsa. I won't say their full name, but their initial is QT.
Yeah.
And it's easy to stop by there and get a sausage roll or one of their hot and ready sandwiches and maybe a donut. And I was, getting a big prime drink and that's loaded with sugar. The donut's loaded with sugar. I mean, you do that every morning. That's your calorie intake for the day.
Yeah.
And you're doing that before you even start your morning. Then you go have lunch and dinner and whatever else you're doing.
Do you count calories?
I'm not counting calories right now, but I generally have a kind of like a eating pattern that I do that kind of keeps me in that realm of without counting every macro that I kind of know what I'm doing.
You know what MyFitnessPal is?
Yeah.
It's an app. And I had a bit of an obsession with it for years. I mean, for years and years and years, I tracked literally everything I put in my mouth. It's interesting because I never really paid any attention to the data. I mean, I didn't alter what I did based on the data. I just felt compelled to follow the data. I just wanted to put it in there and it just, But what I found consistently was like day to day, I might have swings of 500 calories. Some days I'd be about 500 calories under. Some days I'd be about 500 calories over. But what I found is like on the week, at the end of a week, I was pretty consistently where I should be on calories. But what I noticed is the days I ate out, I almost always went over.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
It's so easy.
And days that I ate in, and you probably eat a little healthier too. It's amazing. And it can get to be a bit of an obsession. At 454, you just kind of took in less and called it good and then found your way that way.
Yeah, I went into a big calorie deficit. At my weight was probably what some people would consider unhealthy because I cut so many calories out of what I was eating. So I was probably taking in enough calories for a 200-pound person.
Did you feel weak?
No.
No, you felt okay.
I felt okay.
Yeah.
From all the stuff I read, I probably should have been a lot more calories instead of such a dramatic drop.
Right.
But it worked for me.
Did you ever think at any point on this process, did you ever think about Ozempic or surgery or any of these?
Yeah. I talked to my doctor about Ozempic and Zepbound, and I looked into some of those too, but they're just, even with insurance, it's just too costly.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can afford $600, $700 a month for a shot.
Right.
That gets expensive.
Yeah.
So
you did it the old fashioned way and
did it the old fashioned way and
it's working.
It worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Share your story about what happened Wednesday whenever you became the mentor for someone else that just showed up and you saw it happening because you had been in his shoes multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go off and we do our rides and, we get some people that show up for the first time or they've ridden on Riverside, but maybe haven't gone out on the road and done as much changing elevation that you're going to get with these rollers and these hills that we go up and down. And it's easy for someone that doesn't really know what they're doing to get into the group and chase the person in front of them. And they might not have the legs or the lungs to do it. And I felt myself kind of pulling back. So when I feel that, I don't try and keep up with them because I know I'll eventually get there. So I backed off a little bit. Jorge, come up to the stop sign and you could see him. He's shaking. You get to him. He's like, I'm toasted. I'm done. I'm not going to make it. We talked him down and said, hey, buddy, I've been there. I know exactly what you're going through. Breathe deep, breathe in through the lungs, down through the balls. Get that deep in, out, get them to calm down a little bit and get them to start recuperating on the bike instead of just standing there on the side of the road. You get them to kind of come back on the bike a little bit. And I was able to talk them through breathing normally again. And all of a sudden we're riding the bike. He's moving. He's drinking just straight water. He doesn't know any better. So we're giving him sugar. Brad has a iced tea mix. That's basically just maple syrup stuff. Yeah. That stuff is delicious.
Yeah.
But it's just a sugar concentrate and you just take it right. And so he took that, felt better. We got a little bit further down the road and his legs cramped up and I carry some salt pills with me.
You made him slow down the entire time and you coached him how to ride even though he was blown. That was the impressive part is Kenny was sharing the knowledge that I had been beating down his throat for the last 8 weeks. He was sharing it in a kind, understanding manner. And the guy kept trying to speed up. And Kenny coached him the entire time. Shoot, it was probably 3 miles that the guy was riding right beside Kenny. And he just was so thankful the entire time for Kenny giving him this knowledge. And anytime he started speeding up or something, Kenny would make him slow down. And then everything really fell apart because he cramped and then Kenny took over.
Yeah, so I carry some Hammer Nutrition salt pills. They've got a little potassium in them, but they work great to relieve cramps. And I was able to give one to him, and 5 minutes later, his cramp was gone, and he was smiling again. And we had a downhill section, and everything was good again.
Yeah.
And so just to get him back to where we started from, he was very grateful because he's like, I would have never made it. I was done. I would have never come out again. Like, thank you so much for being there. I was like, hey, we've all been there. That's basically what this group is about. We're helping other people get better on the bike.
Yeah.
One person at a time if we have to.
Well, it's such a great metaphor, right? I mean, it just serves the purpose that we need when we need it, you know?
Because that's the kind of stuff that'll leave a person a bad taste in their mouth. They go on a group ride and they get struck like that and they lock up and then they're by themselves trying to find themselves back. And they're like, I'm never going with those crazy people again.
Yeah.
So just to nurture that and let them know, hey, we've all been there. We all struggle. We all have bad days. You might have a really good day last week. You come out the next week and your legs are shot and you're just not there.
But if you know you have a group of people that's going to stick with you and you don't have to ride back in.
That's the difference maker.
That's it. Yeah. It's just that sense of community.
That's what it is, community. And we're growing this community leaps and bounds. Every week you get more people joining in. More people are talking about it. And it is something that has become contagious. It's like, okay, these are the Dudemen. And our thing is we want to be the example of cyclists out on the road and not be feral cats just scattered all over the road. You know, we're trying to ride 2x2 and be respectful to the traffic that we're flowing with and not be the reason people hate cyclists when they see us on the road.
Right.
Because we don't want to get hit. I've been hit before. It's not fun.
Yeah. And there are a fair amount of haters out there.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So the more we can keep people happy and keep that happy medium between our community and the general motoring public, that's a good day. And everybody gets back safe.
Kenny, I appreciate you coming and sharing your story. It's fantastic. And it's, you know, I think it's super insightful that, you know, people get to hear from you where you've been and kind of where you went. And now to see you getting your health back.
If I can go out there and do it, I guarantee you, anybody listening that has any doubt in their mind can go out and do the same thing.
Yeah. Tulsa's great because we have Project Dudeman. We have lots of trails.
Mm-hmm.
There's a running equivalent. Dave Brennan runs a thing over at OU Sports. They meet on track on Tuesday over at TU. You guys ever seen that? You show up and he has a mesocycle. Dave ran track at the University of Houston and he's working on his PhD now in sports physiology. Super guy, Australian guy. And so he has these mesocycles, and let's just say like on, you know, the first Tuesday you do 400 repeats or, you know, whatever. He's got it all spelled out. So you show up and he tells you what to do, but you self-select into whatever group. They've got like Project Dudeman has 3, I think. There they've got maybe 6 or 7. You'll have some of the kids that run for TU. A couple of them, they'll show up. I mean, those kids are phenomenal. But then you'll have just big ladies. They're doing the same thing. They're not doing it at the same pace.
Right.
But everybody kind of starts off, you know, a little bit behind each other. And next thing you know, everybody's running on the track. And you can't tell. I mean, you might be able to tell who the really fast guy is. But the rest of us, we're gasping for air. We're doing everything we can to complete our cycle. And having somebody big out there, that's fantastic. Right. And then having the faster guys out there, that's good too, because then you got this guy to look up to and just say, that's what that's who I'm trying to be.
Yeah. And I've learned myself, especially with my knees, I have certain limitations that I still have to adhere by. And it's something that we kind of learned was we did some standing and riding drills and this and that and working on high cadence, and I found out that I can't do it. My knees just won't do it. And I kind of attribute it to the old Rocky movie where, he's going back to fight.
Yeah.
And his trainer's like, you need speed. You ain't got it.
Yeah.
You need quickness. It's not there. But what you do have is hard hitting diesel power.
Yeah.
And that's what I can do. I can sit down in the seat and go.
Yeah. They just modify.
Yeah. You just modify the workout and do what you're able to do.
Yeah. Well, again, it's fantastic hearing your story and great to see you and just everybody.
I'm very, 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 very thankful that this group was created and Malcolm and both the Brads took time and put this thing together. I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason, and I ended up at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. For yourself, but also for Jorge and
all
the people that are going to follow in your footsteps.
And I'm meeting so many cool people and people that I didn't know existed, and they probably didn't know I existed, but we're all connecting now.
Right.
And that's the really cool thing.
Totally. I mean, I think, what was it? Armstrong's book, it's not about the bike, right? It's about the connections.
Just ride your bike, dude. Just
ride your bike. Well, if people wanted to reach out to you, do you have like an Instagram handle or something like that where people could?
Yeah, it's Kenny_Hill_TUL.
Perfect. All right, Kenny. Well, thanks again.
I appreciate you having me. Yeah, it's been a mind-opening experience, and it was good to get my story. I don't think I've definitely never said it in this sort of setting before to so many people, but it feels good, and I hope it helps somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Dr. Drew Crawford. Join me next week as we go beyond measurements and image to build healthier lifestyles and elevate your well-being on the BMI podcast. See you then. The BMI podcast is provided for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute providing medical advice or professional services. Be sure to check out our description below for our website and social media platforms.